Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee and you join me in this video as we look at our Ford Fiesta we bought from the auction a few weeks ago. It was featured on the channel, so if you've not checked out that video, click in the link. You'll see the link in the description below the video of the walk round when we bought it. Now when we got the car, it needed a clutch to do fitting in it and a few other little jobs, so that was the idea. We're going to get it in the workshop and sort of document that as it went through and hopefully try and get this car turned around and sell it on and make a little bit of profit out of it. Not much money in this one, but it was a nice car to fix. It was an honest car, big miles on it, there's still a little bit of money in it and it'd be ideal for a customer. However, it's been a bit of a pain, to be honest with you, since that video. We've had a few problems with it. First of all, we've had an issue with the clutch, so we haven't actually managed to get the clutch in it yet. We've been waiting around for a clutch for ages. We ordered one online from a company, and basically they just didn't have it in stock, and rather than not tell us, they messed us about for a day until eventually we sort of give up and they refunded us the money, and that was the end of that. So that wasn't really decent of them. Now I did manage to get a clutch for it in the end. I had to pay a little bit more for one, just under 75 quid, which I'll show you in a minute what we bought. So we need to get on with that in a moment. So that was a plan. So the other day we were going to get the car in the workshop, start it up, get it in and start getting the clutch done. That was the idea. We also got the towing eye cover sorted as well. Bought one of them off eBay. A friend of mine's going to flick that in as a favour. We also sorted out the tyres on the car. They're all basically near the limit and they all needed changing. Now luckily we had this old Honda Jazz which was scrap, and we changed all the wheels off that to put on this Fiesta because they were similar size, and we put all the tyres on there because they had 4 nearly new tyres on it, so I'll show you them in a sec. A few people mentioned about that Honda Jazz, what it was like and why I didn't sort of feature it. But believe me, it was beyond fixing that thing. It had, off the top of my head, the catalytic converter had been stolen off it, so someone actually nicked the catalytic converter off it, completely gone, because it's worth quite big money on them. So it had no exhaust on it, all the sensors and lambda sensors had been ripped out of it, so it wasn't really worth fixing really anyway. We could have sorted that out, but it also had a notchy steering rack, so it wanted a steering rack on it, and it had a whiny gearbox. It's an old Jazz, it ain't worth fixing. By the time you put a steering rack on it, a gearbox, and a catalytic converter and lambda sensors, you're never going to get that money back. It wasn't a nice car anyway, it's all knocked and battered, so it's just not worth bothering with. So we've just had a few bits off it. I've sold a few bits from it and switched the tyres, which has helped out on that Fiesta because that saved us about 120 quid not having to put tyres on it. So it's now starting to look good. We've got the clutch sorted, we've got the little towing eye cover sorted, that's been painted, we've got the tyres on it, it's starting to come together. But like I said the other day, as we came to come and started to do the clutch, guess what happened? It won't start. And let me just show you what I mean. So here she is, guys. She's parked around the back. I come to it now, and literally every time I started this car from the auction when I picked it up and all the walk round, it never once gave me any problems whatsoever. So first we thought it was maybe a battery gone funny on it, but it's not the battery's fully charged, there's nothing wrong with the battery. But like I said, now we've got no warning lights coming on the dash, the keys ignition and nothing. Then cut straight out. So you get a combination of basically no warning lights, it tries to start and then cuts out, or just doesn't start at all. Like if I turn now, nothing. We've got the light flashing there for like a mobiliser light. So we've got something not quite right here with our ignition system, or maybe we've got water ingress somewhere in the wiring, or maybe we've got a dash fault. I know on the early Fiestas used to suffer with dashboard faults. We used to have problems in the back of the dash when the pins where the plug went in. They used to have loads of problems there. And that used to cause sort of intermittent starting, so it might be to do with that. I've also seen issues where they have problems with the wiring down here where the plastic trim is. There's a big plug there and they can get water ingress in, and I've seen a few of them over the years. We've had to clean them up and obviously sort that out, so we need to look at that as well. So we're going to have to strip it apart, because like I said at the moment, like I said again, try and turn it now, nothing. I mean, I could do this for all day and you might get 1 in 50 occasions now where it's starting, which is really odd because, like I said, when I test drove it, it started every time. Now, hopefully it's nothing catastrophic. I don't want it to be chasing wires or something like that. That would be a pain because we're no auto electricians. We can do the basics in that, but when it gets into real sort of in-depth wiring and chasing down stuff, that's not our bag. So hopefully we haven't got to go down the route of getting a auto electrician or a friend of mine in to do that, because it's just unnecessary cost. So we'll have to strip it down first, the ignition system and all the wiring. Just have a quick look ourselves. Hopefully it's something straightforward we can fix and get it running again. Because if not, well, it's curtains really. It puts a stop to everything. And potentially could mean us having to scrap it off if we never get to the bottom of why it's not starting. Which is a bit worrying because someone shoved a starter motor on this as well. There was a starter motor in the boot of it. which we did on the walk round, and obviously that's been changed because someone's assumed there's a problem with the starter motor, which is obviously something else that's causing this intermittent starting fault. So we're going to have to look at that. So we're going to have to sort that out. Hopefully we can get that fixed. We'll have a look at it later on today. All being well, it's something straightforward. Quick look at these tyres. Like I said, we changed them tyres off that Jazz. So we've got some nice tyres on here now. Good 6-7 mil at least on them. All of them are like that. They're all pretty decent, all fairly new tyres actually. So and Raikkonen's matching set, so that's great. So that's they're not bad tyre Raikkonens. They're made by Michelin, and they've got a matching set of them on them. And like I said, they're all pretty much new. So that saved us a ruck of money. But that saved us a ruck of money. So it's coming along, the Fiesta, but it's not quite there yet. I don't really want to start the clutch out until we get that ignition problem sorted, because otherwise, you know, we could put a clutch in it, waste a day's labour putting a clutch in, and then we can't get it running properly. It's a bit irrelevant. So we're going to go push the car around now, bring it round, and get me and one of the other lads to have a look at it. Hopefully we can try and fix it. Right, so as you see, nothing, starting the ignition fault. Touch the wiring on the back there where the black cap is. And it works. So obviously got a fault on the back of that ignition control unit. Oh, are you? Yeah, you're messing with that and it's causing a dash fault. So we've got a loose connection somewhere.
Open circuit on the black cap.
Right, we found the problem. Basically, this we call it black caps ignition switch. So with the wiring plugged into it, we're sort of pushing the wiring, jamming it, pushing it all in. It's forcing this forward, and then that there, you can see it. It's moving, pushing inwards. It's basically got a loose connection inside it. So we just need a new black cap for it. These aren't coded or anything like that, so we should be just a case of just basically buying one of these, and away you go. The immobiliser side's on the key side or on the opposite side of the barrel. This is on the left side. This literally just has a plastic rod that turns that kit ignition black cap. And it's just a switch basically. It's a glorified switch, and it's got a loose connection. So that will solve our problem and should start then every time. So we'll have a look online now, see if we can get hold of one of these. Hopefully they aren't silly money. It doesn't look particularly an expensive part, but we'll see. You never know, things surprise you. And hopefully that will, well, it will solve our problem. That's a relief, because I thought it might be a wiring fault and we'd be chasing wires or something, which would be a horrible job to do, because we don't like wiring jobs here. Right, we found the part that we need. It's £11. Let me show you what we bought and what will hopefully solve our problem. So quick look on eBay, typed in start ignition barrel switch, found one straight away. Dead common by the looks of it. It must be a common issue that goes on them. Not something that I've come across, but you know, obviously it's clearly an issue, and that is our problem because we've tested it and we know it's faulty. Just £10.95, so just shy of 11 quid, but that has been ordered. So we've ordered the ignition barrel switch, and that will solve our problem, and that will then start on the button every time, and then finally that will mean we can get the car on the ramp, get the clutch in it, and then we can carry on with the process. So hopefully we've got to get that clutch in, get that fitted. When we've done that, get it in the main workshop and get it MOT'd. We need to bolt a number plate on it for sure, and we need to put the towing eye cover back on once we come back from the paint. Once we've done that, we're going to service it, the usual maintenance stuff we need to do with it, and obviously anything that picks up on the MOT we'll have to address as well. So hopefully we're still on course to keeping the budget reasonably on target. We spent a little bit more on the clutch because we had to buy one. It was just easier to buy one from Motor Facts in the end, so that's moved the budget a little bit. This ignition switch, but I mean, we've not spent fortunes on it, guys, and we've saved a ruck of money on those tyres as well, so that has helped out a little bit. And hopefully we don't get too many more surprises. And then hopefully we can, and then all being well, we should be able to squeeze a nice little chunk of money out of it. Talking about that, a few guys mentioned in the comments, is it really worth doing this? You know, not much margin in it and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it, but what I'm going to do with this car, as I mentioned in my last video, is that it's going to get kept as for a customer basically. We're going to keep it. I always keep a few cars around me at the garage just for customers really. I sort of sell on the little cheapy stuff. Not something that I'm going to sell as a retail car going off an auto trader. It's not the right sort of car to be selling like that. It's certainly not going to go on a car pitch somewhere like that. It's not that sort of car you'd sell. So like I said, keep it around the garage. We'll have a customer for this. In fact, I've already got a few people inquiring about it. It was after a cheap runabout, and it'll suit them down to the ground. So I've done quite a few times over the year, and you end up doing quite well out of it, because what usually what happens is that when they need an MOT next year, they come back to you. When they need tyres for it, they come back to you. Servicing, general repairs, anything like that, ultimately, if you sell them a little cheap car and look after your customers, they're just going to come back to you and use you. That's generally what I find. So I always like to have these sort of cars sort of floating around the garage, so I can sort of sell on to customers. And obviously you get the return business as well, because ultimately, no matter what car you buy, it does need maintaining, otherwise they go downhill pretty quickly. So you sort of get the extra sort of upsell, if you like, of looking after that customer and the revenue it generates. Because if I don't do it, they're going to go somewhere else. So you're better off just keeping the customer in-house, look after them, just treat them well. That's a bit different to when you run a car dealership. Believe me, this is something I've done in the past, because I've run a dealership. When you're selling cars on a car dealer sells you a car, really, no matter what they say to you, they don't really want to see you again, because ultimately they've sold the car. You're only going to come back for two reasons. One is you're buying another car off you, in which case they'll roll out the red carpet, or you've got a problem, in which case they don't really want to see you. Most dealers cross their fingers, send the car out. They don't want to see you again. They want the cars to be gone and they move on to the next thing. With a garage, it's a little bit different, because if something goes wrong in the short term, you've got to fix it because you've got liabilities. But, you know, usually you get that repeat business. You recommend friends and families. And it's a strategy that I've done for many years, and it's worked well for me. It might not work for other dealers, and they might think it's a small margin, it's not worth the risk. I get that. But for me, it's something that I've done and I like doing. And also, we'll save this car as well. Give it another use. It's a nice looking thing. Why not keep it going for another couple of years? Let someone have some decent motoring out of it. Let someone have a few years out of it, enjoy it, and give them some reliable motoring, hopefully. So, thanks for watching this one, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. If you haven't already, please watch my other videos. I've got lots of new videos that have just dropped, so check them out. Thanks again, and I'll see you all very, very soon.